come rain or come shine, I'm going to be marching with my all-gay, all-Asian curling team. Our team is called Rice on Ice. And now each member of the team represents a different Asian country. So on the back of our uniforms, instead of using our real names, we're going by our country names. So my Filipino friend is going to be Phil. My Korean friend is going to be Corey. I was born in Thailand, so my name will be Tyler. And our Pakistani friend, we're going to call him Stan. Okay, half the crowd is super confused, and half the crowd is super racist. But that's okay, that's part of why we started Rice on Ice in the first place, because we wanted to promote unity and acceptance within the Gaysian community. But our message was so effective that we even had this one man, this super butch, straight, older white guy come up, and he was like, damn, nobody's ever made me wish I was gay and Asian before. But you guys make it look real fun. And he was totally right, we did have a lot of fun. We were 4 friends, we were out there, and our team was getting better, we were building momentum, and we even had this film company approach us, and they wanted to document our journey as we trained in order to compete at the next Gay Olympics. And so, to fund the documentary, we applied for a government grant that's awarded to Canadian filmmakers from underrepresented communities. But unfortunately, our application was rejected. Surprisingly, I discovered that in Ontario, Asians are no longer qualified as racial minorities. Yeah, we have been delisted. Because apparently, in Ontario, Asians have so much economic wealth that we're no longer affected by systemic racism. And I gotta tell you, as the official spokesperson for young, gay, super cute Asians. Thank you. Yeah, this is totally ridiculous. Like, how can anybody from Toronto try to tell me that Asians aren't affected by racism? Like, I moved here in 2003 in the middle of the SARS crisis. Yeah, y'all remember that shit? The city was on lockdown, and the entire population was terrified of Asians. We were treated as pariahs. Like, for the first 5 years that I lived in Toronto, anytime I wanted extra room on a crowded subway, I would just start coughing. You better believe everybody ran to the other side of the bus. Now, sadly, because of that situation, there were a lot of Asians that wanted to hide their identity, they were changing their names, and they were trying to distance themselves as far as possible from their heritage. Like, there was a group of Asians in Toronto that were terrified you're going to find out that they were Asian. The first Chinese guy I met in Toronto was named Jose. And his brother's name was Pepe. Even one of my friends, Ming, changed his name to Milton. And like Ming is such a strong traditional Chinese name, right? Like Ming is like dynasty. Milton is like librarian. Why would you change, like, oh my God. It wasn't just their traditional names that were abandoning, because at that time, there was a dramatic rise in Asians converting to Christianity. And just, in China, less than 1% of the population is Christian. And because they were converting, because of Christian teachings, they were slowly becoming more and more homophobic, which was really sad. There was this one time where I had these two Chinese religious protesters come up to me, and one of them was like, "Were you molested as a child?" I heard all gays were molested as children. I was like, hell no, I said I was gay, not an altar boy. I think that's a problem y'all have to solve, okay? And then they were like, "Oh, you really shouldn't speak that way. Jesus died for your sins." I was like, "Bitch, please." Like, Jesus never came to China. I'm sorry the dude died, but this has nothing to do with me. And back then, it wasn't just religious protesters who wouldn't leave me alone. Because when I first moved here 15 years ago, I was in my early 20s, and I discovered that in Toronto, I had a magical power over old white guys over 40. Y'all don't know, I can see some couples in here right now. I'm like 39 and under, I was invisible. But once they hit 40, I was irresistible. It's creepy. Like, they would shake when I talked to them. I even had to start working with my friends. Like, I was like, "Greg, your birthday's coming up in a couple of weeks. I do not want any trouble." Sure thing, 2 weeks later, I was beating that horny bitch off of my ass. Silly hoe. And I was so angry, and I decided I was not going to take it lying down anymore. Thank you, everybody. My name is Vong